So the title of today's video is how do I get people to stop annoying me and being so annoying and being jerks and whatever else. So the truth is that they stop behaving like that when you understand that you created them to be like that, and you stop being triggered by it and you stop reacting to their behavior in the 3D. I have actually had so many real life stories of this happening. I mean, I've had stories in connections as well, where obviously somebody's done behavior that really, really annoys me. But they've taken me kind of longer to sort out just because of where I was when those things happened. But I've even had it with friends. So a story that I can tell you that's just really, really easy to relate to is, and it happened to me and I did it to somebody else. So I have a friend and she gets really, really angry when people are late. Like, it really triggers her. She gets really angry, she gets really pissed off, she shouts. So if you have an arrangement with her and a meeting with her, and God, it's still 111 again. I'm seeing 111 like constantly in the moment. So if you're late for her, she just goes mental. And the weird thing is that every time I go to meet this friend, I am really late. It's like I can't help it. And it's exactly what they say, that if you ask for something, someone will be called to deliver it to you or to respond to it. And the thing is, asking for something isn't always as simple as affirming it. You know, if we have a trigger and a charge, that brings in a fear and an anger or whatever, that fear of something happening or that anger of something happening brings that in. Until you can neutrally just affirm, I want this person to be on time, or if they're late, it doesn't trigger you, this is going to just happen. I swear on my life, every time I went to meet with this friend, I was so out of this world late. I mean, anything would happen, like I couldn't find my cat and I had to go look for her, or I'd miss the train, or the train wouldn't stop at the station, or it would end up going on a weird journey. I remember I went to meet her this one time and I was over an hour late, and the train, it was meant to stop at these stops and it just went on a totally different route, and definitely nothing was announced. It can be that extreme, the reasons why I'm late. And I had this switch reverse. So years and years ago, before I was sort of really into mirror work and this level of doing stuff, I used to get really, really angry at one of my friends because she was always so late for me. She would be like an hour or 2 hours late. I mean, it wasn't just 20 minutes late, it would be really late. And I do remember her saying, I can't help it. I'm just, something just makes me really late when I come to meet you. But obviously I didn't, at that point, take it so lightheartedly. I mean, it actually got to a point where I was like, I cannot meet you anymore. This is annoying me so much because it's like you don't respect my time. And I ended up sitting around, because I remember the pinnacle came when she organised an event and I went to help her organise the event. And she was half an hour late to her own event. So I had to not only sign everybody in and let them in, I had to, like, off the cuff do some kind of meditation for them all so that they had something to do while we were waiting for her to come and run the event. And I just couldn't believe it. And it got to the point where I was like, we can just never meet again. Like, truly, like, I don't mind you coming to my house and stuff because I've got stuff to do, but I can never meet you when I'm going to just be sat around waiting. And it definitely, was about valuing my time and someone not valuing my time. And because I think it hit a pinnacle as well when she said, well, subconsciously I don't want to be early because I don't want to be sat around waiting, so then I end up being late. And oh my God, did that get to me? Because then I'm like, oh my God, so then I end up sitting around for an hour or two. But anyway, the meaning of that story is that actually once I'd neutralised the trigger and I got to the point where she went away and lived abroad actually for a bit, not because of that, obviously. And when she came back, I'd obviously done a lot of work on myself in other ways, and I didn't really have the same triggers, and she was always on time. Actually, I started being more late for her than the other way around, probably because I was so used to it, I was kind of not wanting to be early anymore. But the moral of those two stories is that that's how people are called to action when you're triggered. It's like you just can't. I would be like, I don't know what it is. And I even felt, because I'm quite conscious, when I was late for my friend, I'd be very aware. I even said to her once, you know, I feel like because it makes you so angry, it's kind of making all this stuff happen that means that I'm going to be late. She did not take to it kindly, so maybe don't necessarily always say that unless your person's literally into everyone is he pushed out. But it really was true. I could feel it. I could feel that it didn't matter what I tried to do to be on time, because it was such a trigger for her and she was getting so flustered and angry. Like I was just getting later and later. And this really happens with connections and twin flames and soul connections too. And it's so much harder because the triggers are so deep and they make us go mental. I know it. I know all of the stuff, and I still sometimes, you know, get triggered. But we're just doing that. So if somebody's resisting, and you have to look at the energy that you're giving off. Like, is there a fear there? Like, so for example, somebody's rejecting you. Like, there's a trigger there that if they reject you and when they reject you, it makes you feel a certain way. It makes you react emotionally. And when you can get to the point where you're like, I really don't care if they reject me or not, because this isn't about me. I know that I'm unique and I'm rare and I'm special, and you know, I don't care how they show up, because actually I know that they want me and they want to be with me. And you know, that's where the mental diet really comes in. I mean, there's so many ways to overcome those things, be it affirming, mental diet, scripting. I love doing a bit of mirror work at the beginning just to like realize what the root is. So for example, with the lateness, I could get that down to being value. So I understand that the trigger is that my time's not being valued, so I'm not being valued. And that would be a good place for me to start with, you know, affirmations and mental diet. So yeah, the same with all these things. If someone's not committing to you, it's, you know, it's because it's triggering you that they're not. And the same with someone being late and just silly little things, you know, all the times it's the trigger. And if you can be nonchalant and just carry on to affirm, you know, like if my friend, instead of getting really spiraling, had have just said, no, she's going to be on time, then I think my journey would have flowed and I would have been on time. So you can test it and practice it in your own experience. Obviously, some things are really a lot easier than others. If you have like a huge connection to somebody, or you know, you've got a bill to pay and you're really worried about getting the money, that's going to be a bit harder. I mean, it shouldn't be, but emotionally it's going to be harder than, say, somebody that's I mean, everybody's triggers are different, actually, dependent. Like for my friend, this late one's a huge one. So, I mean, whereas for me now, it wouldn't really be a big deal. So try it maybe on some things that are not a massive big deal to you first. And, you know, when it starts to happen, try to relax into it, not get triggered. That's the hardest bit. And just affirm the opposite and continue to ask. I think whenever we want something, sometimes you get this little, I don't know why this happens, but I've found a lot that when I've sort of wanted something that's quite a big deal, if like something comes up to sort of show that it's been completely derailed, and if I can stand strong and non-reactional, then that's when it comes in. I think it's when you're breaking down your sort of like inner subconscious beliefs, that you sort of, there's a bit of an edgy area, and if you can not react to it a few times, then that's when it's really done, you know. I had it with my place as well. So I saw an identical one to this, like absolutely identical, but it was too much money and it went anyway, someone bought it. And I was so disappointed because I'd seen about 100 places, I kid you not, and I didn't like any of them because I have a really specific thing that I'm looking for in a place that I want to live in. So I like high ceilings because, you know, I'm an artist and a photographer and I like to do yoga and I want to do like little spiritual events. I need to have like a huge living area, which is very rare when you're in a, you know, most people prefer the family rooms and to have like more rooms and less space. But I wanted a lot of space and not many rooms. And yeah, like a big open area with, you know, high ceilings. And I wanted to be on the top, on the penthouse. And it didn't really have like huge, you know, considering where I lived, didn't have like that kind of budget that you would think would get you all this stuff. But I was really adamant, and whatever estate agent said to me, I was like, no, no, these are the things that I want. And I wanted like a balcony or some outside space. So there was all these things, and there was other things too. And I wanted I wanted to have my own entrance. I didn't want to have to like go through, you know, be in a big communal thing where I didn't have my own front. So I had all these things that were really seeming impossible, and I found it. I found the one, and I was like, oh my God, this is like, I love it. I love it. It was too expensive, and then it also went under offer straight away. And I didn't really react to it. I didn't really get heartbroken. I just let it go, because as much as I really wanted it, I'm actually never quite as bothered about material things as I am love. They're the hardest. They're the things that really get me. And then I went for a smaller, cheaper one in the same block, and then someone literally outbid me by like the tiniest bit, and I lost that one as well. And I let it go, and a few months, I think like 2 months went by or something, and then suddenly this place came on, like a lot less, and it was exactly the same as the very first one, the one that I'd really liked and had to let go of. And not only that, but it had a kind of cladding on it that couldn't get mortgages at the time. And so yeah, to cut a long story short, I ended up getting the exact same flat, way cheaper. And yeah, and I think this happens a lot when we're manifesting. Like, I had to let go of it. I had to have everything seemingly looking like it was completely not going my way and there was no chance I was going to get it. And then, you know, I got it, or something very, very similar. Like, it's like identical layout. There's hardly any difference. And better as well. So sometimes when you put your, you know, I think that's how we really mess up our manifestations, because we ask for something and then something comes up that we don't like in the 3D, and we lose it, we emotionally react rather than stay consistent. And that's really the magic. That's when the real magic stuff happens, is when you can get that stuff happen and you can be like, okay, I know I'm still getting it, and I'm not going to, you know, I'm not going to engage, I'm not going to respond to that thing that I don't want. Like, it's, you know, we don't get triggered and we just stay focused on what we do want. So yeah, I hope that helps, and yeah, bye.